I met Amanda on a snowy winter night that seemed like something out of a romantic comedy. The sidewalks were covered in snow, and the golden light from the street lamps cast soft rings in the cold air. I had just closed a big deal for my company, and my friends insisted that we celebrate at one of the local charity events. That's where I spotted her, standing at the bar with a glass of champagne in her hand, wearing a long silver dress that shimmered in the light with every step she took. She was chatting with someone about design for nonprofit organizations, laughing and talking animatedly. I was captivated by her before I even said hello. Amanda was beautiful, but she was more than that. She was intelligent, funny, quick-witted, and emotional in a way I had never encountered before. She listened to me not as a boss or an employee, but as a person, not dressed in a suit and not working on Excel spreadsheets. After that evening, we started dating. She was a freelance graphic designer and worked on various projects related to cancer, children's diseases, and veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder. Her compassion, or at least what I believed to be compassion, led me to feel deeper feelings than I had ever felt before. She made me believe that there was something special between us. After a year of dating, I proposed to her under a shower of leaves in Central Park. She cried, hugged me, and said, "You're the one I've been praying for." We got married the following summer. It was a perfect wedding, intimate and bittersweet. Amanda wore her mother's lace veil, and I loved every word I said. "Till death do us part." The first 2 years of marriage were perfect. We bought a beautiful house, slept in on Saturdays, and even talked about having children. She would wake up early to make breakfast and, coffee in hand, would crawl up next to me while I read the morning paper. She made everything softer and special. I trusted her so much that I let her manage part of our money. Nothing significant, but she had the pins for 2 of our credit cards, and I even opened a savings account in her name so she could access it herself. In the 3rd year of our relationship, Amanda said something that shattered the peace of our life. It was a cold Sunday evening. I had just returned from a long meeting and was looking forward to dinner and maybe a movie. But that wasn't what awaited me. I came home and found her on the living room floor crying hysterically. My heart stopped. I went over to her, hugged her, and demanded an explanation. Choking back tears, she whispered, "It's cancer. I have breast cancer." Everything froze. My blood ran cold. The room spun. I held her and didn't let go until she calmed down. She had been to several appointments and kept it a secret until she knew for sure. She said it was an aggressive form, but treatable if started right away. I reassured her and told her not to worry about anything, that we would get through this together. Then I spent every waking moment caring for her. I spent over $60,000 of her money on treatment and consultants. She said she found an oncologist who wasn't covered by our insurance, but was the best in the state. I didn't argue. I paid for everything she asked for. I cooked, cleaned, did everything. She slept during the day or lay curled up on the couch in scarves and loose sweaters. She started skipping meals, saying that the chemotherapy was upsetting her stomach. She declined invitations from friends, saying that pretending everything was fine was too exhausting. She even started writing about it on her blog, posting quotes about strength and photos of bouquets her friends sent her. Sympathy and support poured in from all sides. My colleagues envied my devotion. Her friends cried for her. People called her a warrior. But as weeks turned into months, something began to gnaw at me. I noticed that she hadn't lost any weight. Her appetite didn't disappear when she felt she wasn't being watched. Her hair, though constantly covered with scarves, wasn't thinning. Once, I caught a glimpse of a lock of hair in the trash, neatly arranged on a napkin like a vignette, but the hair was darker and longer than her haircut. She also became secretive. Her phone, which had always been face-up, was now password protected. She often left the house under the pretext of final scans or therapy, but returned with expensive cosmetics, new outfits, and even a bag from an expensive boutique I had never seen her in before. I wanted to believe she was doing it to feel better. I chalked it up to denial or an attempt to stay beautiful despite the disease that was consuming her. But the doubts wouldn't go away. I did something I never thought I would do. I hired a private investigator. I hated myself for it. I considered myself a failure as a husband. But the detective discovered more than just infidelity. It was a deliberate, conscious, and malicious act. Amanda did not have cancer. She did not see an oncologist. The hospital where she was supposedly being treated had no medical records for her. Specialist? Made up. The money I gave her for treatment? Down the drain, spent on spas, online shopping, restaurants. And a man named Eric. Eric was a personal trainer at a fitness club in a neighboring town. Amanda met him during one of her doctor visits. They had an affair, not just a weekend fling. It was a serious relationship. Hotel bills, photos, even a video of them walking arm in arm in a spa in another state. Nothing was left out. And to top it all off, I found their text messages. She explained to him that I was a pathetic loser, that I was just financing their fun, and that she would soon find a way to make me file for divorce so she could keep half. I remember reading those words, and my heart was beating so hard that I thought I was going to pass out. I sat in the car, clenching the steering wheel, and the air was filled with poison. I wanted to rush into the house and scream. I wanted to throw all her things out onto the sidewalk. But something inside me stopped me. A voice whispered, "Wait! Don't destroy her. Bury her legally." And I pretended to be stupid. I came home, made dinner, kissed her on the forehead. I was still playing the role of the devoted husband. But behind the scenes, I was gathering evidence. I hired a forensic auditor who tracked every penny. I printed out all the hotel receipts, all the tweets, all the text messages. I hired a criminal lawyer. Together, we gathered a mountain of evidence. Then I moved in with her. I explained to Amanda that I was taking us away for the weekend to the vineyards to help her heal. She smiled like a child, no doubt believing that I was still under her control. On the way there, she even leaned over to me when we stopped at a red light, rested her head on my shoulder, and whispered, "Thank you for not leaving me." When we sat down at the table, I ordered her favorite wine. She was wearing a new dress, which I was sure she had bought with my stolen money. We were halfway through the appetizers when two plainclothes detectives approached the table. "Amanda Whitaker?" one of them asked. She blinked, surprised. "Yes?" "You're under arrest for fraud, grand larceny, and forgery of medical documents." At first she laughed. "What kind of joke is this?" Then she looked at me. My face betrayed the truth. The police handcuffed her right there. Her eyes widened in betrayal. "You set me up? After everything I've been through?" I slowly stood up, leaned toward her, and said, "You haven't been through anything. Now you're going to go through hell." She screamed as they led her away. The trial was quick. The evidence was irrefutable. For falsifying a cancer diagnosis and theft, Amanda was sentenced to 5 years in prison without parole for the first 2 counts. Eric was charged with conspiracy to knowingly receive stolen funds. I divorced her after she went to prison. I froze all the money, took what was left, and auctioned off everything she had bought with my money. The public humiliation she suffered was profound. Newspapers were full of headlines like, "Wife faked cancer to finance affair." Friends turned their backs on her. Her family disowned her. No one showed up for the sentencing. Then I moved to another city. I changed careers. I wrote an anonymous article about financial exploitation and emotional manipulation. Thousands of people contacted me, saying they had been subjected to the same tricks. It gave meaning to my life. It gave me strength. 6 months before she ran away, I received a letter from Amanda. It was a long, rambling apology for how she had lost her way, for how she never meant to cause me so much pain, for how prison had changed her. At the end, She expressed hope that I could find it in my heart to forgive her. I never replied, because forgiveness is something you give to someone who stole your humanity, your trust, and your love. It's something you give to yourself. And I already did that. She may have pretended to have cancer to steal from me, but I offered her something real in return: justice. The end.